All right, so this is what a finished installed caster bushing on the front of the GTO looks like. This radius arm comes up and goes through the back side of it. You can see it goes into the bottom of the lower control arm. And so if you space it out further, it actually pushes the whole front wheel assembly forward or backwards. So if you put those washers on the back side, that's what adjusts the essentially the caster angle. So these outer 4 bolts or nuts are on studs that come through this front cross member. You just take those loose. Take this loose, which is notoriously difficult. We used a 15/16 with a cheater on it to get it loose. And then all the rest of these, put them all back on using the grease on the urethane itself and using Loctite on all 4 of those. These are supposed to be torqued to about 50 foot-pounds, and these are close to 68, 70 foot-pounds. So very quickly, we'll show you how we did it on the other side. All right, so removing the old one, we've already got it all loose. It's a little bit tricky, or can be a little bit tricky, because the strut rod itself is actually spring steel. So when you start loosening this large middle nut, and especially if you do the bushings on the backside, it twists a whole lot. We're not gonna do those today, but you'll also notice, like, I can push it and move it around, and that whole thing is just bending and moving around, moving all over the place. So this one, there's an oil cooler line that sticks down. So you gotta kind of push that up out of the way and then let it fall down. And it should slide all the way forward enough to get it out of there. Now, you can see how much this moves around. Makes it a little bit difficult. We've got all the weight sitting on these jack stands, so it actually makes it a little bit worse. You can make it a little easier if you wanted to, just by putting a little bit of pressure on the underside of the wheel. So if you want to hand me the washers and stuff, I'll go ahead and start sliding them on. All right, so the way we're going to do this is to go with a neutral or 0 caster angle. You start with the thickest washer and the thinnest washer go on first. This one will go on the front. So it goes on all the way to the back. Then one of these giant washers, so you got to lift this up a little bit and push that through. And that works nicely as a little spacer there. We'll save these last 2 for a second, and then put this on next. And again, you're gonna have to fight a little bit with the hose. And then on to the studs. Make sure that crush sleeve goes all the way in. Then big washer, then spacer, then the last new lock nut. Loctite on everything. $50 foot-pounds, 70-ish foot-pounds, all the way bottomed out, and you're good to go. See how it does on a rough road?
Yeah, that's a lot like yours. You feel it, but it doesn't rattle your teeth.
Yeah, it's not bottoming out.
Yeah, it's
Little gravel driveway. the beans.